Audio test, Mr. Frazier, could you do an introduction, please?
Hi, good evening, and welcome to our annual Barren County Schools Student Handbook and Discipline Code Annual Review.
We're good. You're ready.
Okay. All right. So again, I want to thank everyone for being here today. Again, this is our annual review of the Barren County Schools Student Handbook and Discipline Code. I am Anthony Frazier, the Director of Pupil Personnel with Barren County Schools. And I'm going to introduce Superintendent Matthews. He'll do the purpose of the meeting and of our welcome. Superintendent Matthews.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Frazier. Good afternoon, everyone. Appreciate you joining us today virtually as we complete our annual review of the Code and Conduct Handbook. This is a living and breathing document in our school district. This is an opportunity for the public and for our schools and for our stakeholders to take a look at our policies and procedures that impact day-to-day life in our public school district. And we get an overview of our past year. And then we also use this as an opportunity to think about some new things that we might want to address or add to. So thank you for your participation today, albeit virtually. But again, this is something that we're all becoming more accustomed to. Thank you again for being here and for participating, and look forward to hearing from each of you. All right, Mr. Frazier, back to you.
Okay, thank you. Well, the first thing I want to do is, when we work through our agenda, definitely is to recognize our district school resource officers. Kent Keene, Sheriff; Carrie Eaton, Deputy at the Barren County High School; Bobby McCowan, Deputy at the Middle School; Mr. Tommy Fields, Deputy at one of our elementaries; Charlie Lowry; and Jimmy Pettigo, who's new to us right before I think we let out. He was just getting introduced, but we're very fortunate in Barren County Schools to have 5 school resource officers on our campus any given day. And so with the support of Sheriff Keene and the Barren County Board of Education, definitely want to thank those people for making that happen each and every day. Piggybacking off that, I want to give a shout out to Miss Lori Downs. She's taking over school safety. She's worked very hard this year with our school marshal and our compliance officer, getting our safety assessments completed through these times, getting those scheduled and working through those. That's a pretty intense process, and she's done a wonderful job with that, and we appreciate her work with that. I think we should pretty much have our first round wrapped up pretty soon, if not already. I think we have one campus left, and they were working through that one. But that's been great. It's good to know that the things we do in Barren County and the things we've been doing are on track with Senate Bill 1 and the school safety at all of our campuses. So the next thing I want to do is definitely just recognize our principals that are with us today. And then, again, being live and live streaming this, we're going to do a little different. I'm just going to recap. They have already met with their site-based council and their committees, and they have sent me notes from each building. And I'm just going to kind of summarize those from a district standpoint to kind of save time today and to make things a little easier as we do these things via the web. So Austin Tracy Elementary, Joey Bunch, thank you for being here. Eastern, Ms. DeVore; Heisville, Ms. Alexander; North Jackson, Ms. London; Park City, Beth Davidson, we want to welcome you back. Red Cross, Michael Davis; Temple Hill, Corey Edwards; College Street Campus, Anthony James; Barren County Middle School Principal, Stacy Thomas; Barren County High School Principal, Amy Irwin. So again, welcome. Thank you all for being here today. Thank you for getting me your information today to share out. So starting that today, we'll start with the reflections section of the information you had kind of shared with us. And so looking through those reflections over the past school year, one of the big things for me that jumps out, and I know for our district that's moving forward, is Barren County High School has a new safety and PBS committee. The Trojan Academy is working on year 2 with PBS. And so that has been a big move in that direction. So we support you all, and we appreciate you're moving forward with the PBIS model. Lead expectations on our buses have been going much better this year, and all schools within our district are continuing to use PBIS. Some strengths and some positives throughout our district. updated a reward system with some feedback from student body throughout our schools. The schools have really been working on common procedures in place in all areas. They have, we contribute much of our success to the support to classroom teachers and building relationships with students. Bus drivers have been wonderful to set up meetings with principals to support students that need interventions throughout this year. And as a district, our schools are growing in Check and Connect programs, common language for expectations, and they're taking proactive measures are in place now to reduce incidents. So growth and improvement as we move forward, we're going to continue to build staff capacity to effectively respond to student-driven escalated situations with the emphasis on trauma-informed care. And I know there's some professional learning coming with that. And I think in the last 3 days, Shauna Scharcher, our mental health coordinator, has been working through some of that with our staff as well. We're going to continue to improve in our universal expectations and procedures for transitions. The high school is currently focused on driver expectations and procedures, which is new to us. Continue in all schools with our safety and Senate Bill 1 guidelines. That's definitely a priority for us. And a focus on improving the continuing use of our counseling services. Next steps, strengthening our bus procedures as well as beginning of the year procedures for all areas of the buildings. Trainings for new staff, continue staff trainings in the sources of strength curriculum to better support our social and emotional needs for our student population. Increasing the amount of time guidance counselors will be in classrooms, as well as the amount of time spent in small group and individual sessions. And we're going to work on beginning of the year procedures, attendance, cell phone usage, and then again, how to use the tip line for our students. There was just one suggestion for the handbook change this year, and we're going to work through that with kind of some clarity on the search and seizure procedures for vehicles on our property. And so we'll work through that when we get that addressed. So that's kind of a summary for the data that was provided to us. And I'll just kind of open this up for any questions or comments to be added. Hearing none, then I'll move this program to Ms. Kathy Burris, Director of Instruction. She is going to speak to us about federal programs, District Title I, Parent and Family Engagement. Ms. Burris?
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. So as many of you know, Barren County Schools participate in several federal programs to supplement local and state educational programs. We use this annual meeting as one additional public opportunity to seek input and consultation for our programs such as Title I, Title II, Title IV, and Title V. Our district does provide opportunities for families to actively participate in the planning, implementation, and review of school and district Title I Part A programs. Annually, 1% of the Title I funds are allocated, are set aside for parent and family engagement. And of that 1%, at least 90% of those are distributed at the school level. We do have a board policy, 08.13451, that is for Title I parent and family engagement. The policy and plan to implement it have been developed jointly in agreement with and will be distributed to parents and families of students participating in the Title I program. Again, the school SPDM council and our district are constantly seeking input about our policy to ask for any suggestions you might have. Parents and families will be notified of the policy in an understandable and uniform format and to the extent practical, provided in a language that recipients can understand. The policy will be made available to the local community and updated periodically to meet the changing needs of parents, family, and the school. The Title I program is designed to assist students to acquire the capacities and achieve the goals established by law, as well as the goals and standards established by the board. These goals and standards are shared with parents and families in a manner that will give them timely information about programs, a description and explanation of the school's curriculum, the forms of academic assessments used to measure student progress, the achievement levels in the challenging state academic standards, the achievement level of their child on in an individual basis, and if requested, opportunities for regular meetings to formulate suggestions and participate in decisions relating to the education of their children. Examples of these collaboration includes PTO meetings, where an explanation of the program and suggestions and input are gathered from parents, evaluation surveys at the end of the year, and various focused nights at each school, including literacy nights, STEAM nights, math nights, the back-to-school bash, and so on and so forth. Again, we welcome any contribution from the public in ways to improve this program. And if there aren't any questions, I'll let you move on, Mr. Frazier.
All right, hearing no questions, thank you, Ms. Burris. At this time, we will turn the mic over to Ms. Cheyenne Fant, Director of Nutrition Services and 21st Century Learning.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. And again, like Ms. Burris, we just use this as a time and opportunity for open and public comment. And we have 2 federal programs that we would like to do that for, and that's our 21st Century Community Learning Centers, which we have at Austin Tracy, Temple Hill Elementary, Barren County High School, and Barren County Middle School coming up for the next school year. We are also actively seeking input for parent and family engagement, as well as the programs that we have. We know that our programs were cut short due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and we are working diligently right now to start off our virtual summer camps with camps in a box and things like that for our high school and our 2 elementary schools that are still in 21st century. We also like to use this time to talk about our federal programs with our National School Lunch and Breakfast Program, as well as our summer feeding program. And one of the connections that we like to make is that we're working across the district to incorporate smarter lunchroom practices to help with behavior, to help increase positive behaviors in the lunchroom. So that's all I have, unless there are questions or comments that we would need to take.
Thank you, Ms. Fant. Mr. Jenkins, Director of Transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Frazier. Again, I want to thank all the schools, the parents, administrators for allowing transportation to have the opportunity to safely transport our students this year. We use a system called bus conduct, and this year we had 331 total disciplinary write-ups for all the schools. And we break that down in percentages. 88.7% of that is for bus conduct. 1.1% is actually bus incidents, maybe where there was fighting that's going on the buses. And then we have 10.2% of positive referrals that we use with the PBIS system. So we've seen an increase. We started this using bus conduct 3 years ago. And when we first started out, we had a small percentage, maybe like 2% of positive bus referrals. And now we've increased to 10.2. And I'm glad to see that increase as we try to include the drivers in more educational opportunities to know how to deal with the students and have a better relationship with them. And that's been helped by the administrators at each of the schools and the parents too. They see the need for involvement to have a good relationship between student and drivers as we transport them every day. So we see some positive things going on. There's certain areas that we need to work on, and we'll continue to strive to do that and have 0 bus incidents. That's always our goal. But I'm proud that all people involved, all stakeholders are doing their best to try to keep the students at a safe place, especially when we transport them in and out every day. So if there's not any questions or anything like that, or if there are, please let me know at this point. And if not, that's all I have, Mr. Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. At this time, again, I know we've asked for questions or suggestions throughout the meeting, but that is the point that we're at right now, kind of the closure of the meeting. And through your data that you sent to me, there was the one, again, about search and seizures. We're going to research that more. We'll do some additional things to the handbook, and we'll have it ready to go for the next school year. But hearing nothing else, Superintendent Matthews, I think we're ready to close the meeting.
Well, if there are any other additional comments that come to mind later, it would be welcome to be emailed to myself or Mr. Frazier for our consideration, and we'll certainly continue to give folks that option, and we will have that document ready to go for the coming school year. So thank you again for tuning in today and for your attention.
Thank you all. Have a great day.